for the last 4 years. I do not think I spent a single waking hour in genuine silence. I would wake up, and before my feet hit the floor, before I had eaten a single thing, before I had even registered what day it was, I had already pressed play on something, a podcast, a YouTube video, an audiobook. It did not matter what. What mattered was that the quiet was filled. The quiet was a problem I was solving over and over every single day without ever asking myself why I needed to solve it. I remember the specific routine. I would make coffee, a French press, always the same brand, the dark roast with the red label, and I would stand at my kitchen counter with my phone in my hand, already mid-episode, already 30 seconds into someone else's thoughts about someone else's life. I would eat breakfast with a video playing on my laptop. I would drive to the gym with my AirPods in. I would lift weights with my AirPods in. I would drive home with my AirPods in. I would shower, dry off, dress, and before I had even put my shoes on, I had already found the next thing to play. I was never, not once, just here. I told myself this was productivity. I told myself I was learning. And in a technical sense, I was absorbing information. I could tell you about Stoic philosophy and intermittent fasting and the history of the Roman Empire and exactly how to optimize your sleep. I consumed thousands of hours of other people thinking out loud about how to live a good life. I was expert adjacent in everything and master of nothing. Most importantly, I had no idea what I actually thought about any of it, because I had never stopped long enough to find out. The thing that broke it open was not dramatic. I wish it had been. I wish I could tell you I had some kind of crisis that forced me into stillness. But it was smaller than that, and somehow that made it worse. I was sitting in my car in a parking garage. I had just finished a workout, and my phone died. Just died. I sat there in that concrete box in total silence for maybe 4 minutes while I found my charging cable, and in those 4 minutes I felt something that I can only describe as panic. Not danger panic, not threat panic, just this low, spreading dread, like the floor of my chest had dropped 2 inches. 4 minutes of silence, and I was already uncomfortable. 4 minutes. That told me something I did not want to know. I started paying attention after there. I noticed that when a podcast ended during a drive, there was a 2-second window before I pressed play on the next where I felt a very specific thing. Not peace. Not rest. Something closer to exposure, like I had been caught. Like without the noise, I would have to look at whatever was actually sitting behind my eyes, and I was not confident I wanted to see it. I had been filling that space for so long that I had genuinely forgotten what was in it. And that, I realized, was the point. The content was not education. The content was insulation. I grew up in a home where silence usually meant something was wrong. If it was quiet, someone was angry. If it was quiet, something had happened. I learned early that the absence of noise was the presence of tension. I spent most of my 20s carrying that association into every room I entered, every car ride I took, every hour I had to myself. I had built a noise machine out of my entire life, and I was calling it self-improvement. I was drowning out myself with other people's voices and telling myself I was growing. I was not growing, I was hiding. So I ran an experiment. 6 weeks, no podcast, no YouTube, no audiobooks during what I started calling transition time. Commutes, meals, walks, the first 20 minutes after waking up, the last 20 minutes before sleeping. Not no media altogether, just no media during the moments I had previously used to escape being alone with my own mind. 6 weeks, which is longer than it sounds when you're accustomed to never being quiet. The first 2 weeks were genuinely uncomfortable in a way I was not prepared for. I would sit at breakfast and the absence of sound felt loud. I would drive and notice that I was gripping the steering wheel tighter than usual, scanning for my phone on the seat beside me like it was a security object I had lost. I started noticing that without audio to direct my attention outward, my attention turned inward. And what it found there was not peaceful. I found a lot of anxiety that I had not known was sitting there. A lot of unprocessed things, a lot of thoughts I'd been pushing just far enough below the surface to avoid by pressing play on episode 412 of someone's conversation I would never need to have. But I noticed something very interesting. Around week 3, something shifted. The discomfort did not disappear, but it stopped to be the loudest thing in the room. I started having thoughts during my walks that I had not had before. Not brilliant thoughts, not revelations, just mine. Actual opinions, actual preferences, actual questions that belonged to me rather than borrowed questions from borrowed conversation. I realized I had not known what I thought about my own life in years because I had been too busy thinking about the content of the last thing I had listened to. By week 6, the silence had stopped feeling like exposure. It had started feeling like information. I could sit in my car after the engine was off and just exist there for a few minutes, and instead of dread, I felt something closer to orientation. Like I was getting a read on myself, where I actually was, what I actually felt. what actually mattered to me, as opposed to what I had been told should matter by a rotating cast of self-help voices I had consumed across a decade of constant ambient noise. Whatever we consume is going to change us, but what silence reveals is who we already are. If you are out there and you cannot remember the last time you sat with yourself in genuine quiet, I want you to take that seriously. Not as a problem with technology, not as a critique of podcasts. There's nothing wrong with podcasts. But if you are using them the way I was using them, as a wall between yourself and the discomfort of your own mind, then you are not learning anything, you are running. And the harder you run, the more distance you put between yourself and the version of yourself you are trying to become. The prescription is simple and it is harder than it sounds. Designate 30 minutes a day, it's just 30 to start, where there is nothing play, no input. A walk, a meal, a commute, a shower, whatever the transition moments are in your day, take them in silence. Not meditation, not journaling, not a new structured practice, just nothing. Just you in a room or a car or on a street with your own thoughts moving at their natural pace. If what comes up is uncomfortable, that is the information. That discomfort is exactly what you have been drowning out and is exactly what you need to hear. Carl Jung wrote that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I spent 4 years letting the unconscious drive while I sat in the passenger seat with my AirPods in, genuinely believing I was in control because I was always learning something. I was learning everything except myself. The most useful thing that has ever happened to my thinking, to my relationships, to my sense of what I actually want from my life was not a podcast. It was not a book. It was a dead phone in a parking garage and 4 minutes of silence I did not choose but could not escape. Do not wait for the phone to die. Give yourself the quiet on purpose. Sit in it. Let it be uncomfortable. What comes up is yours. And you deserve to know it. Silence taught me more about myself than any podcast ever could. If you want to join me on my journey and see more videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.